Hello everyone and welcome to the video. So the concept of this build video was actually recommended to me by my girlfriend. She has a very soft spot for Arya in Game of Thrones, and she asked me how I would build the archetype of the Faceless Man. And this person who dons all sorts of disguises, blends into the crowds, great at gathering intel, and of course being a deadly assassin. So for starters, I just want to get this out of the way now for the build. Most of my builds on the channel focus on one main way of building and playing the character, with potential variances depending on what stage of the game you're building that character for. However, this build offers two real distinct build paths, and throughout the course of this video I'm going to go through the two different paths to give you ideas to which would be more ideal for you. And the way that the two sides branch from each other is that one excels in creating false identities and impersonating people, whereas the other build excels in impersonating people and gathering in-depth information on the people that we're actually impersonating. It's a very subtle difference, but it's enough that the full strengths of the builds do manifest differently in the game depending on what you really need them to do and what they're being really put to the test to do. So getting started with the build, whichever path you end up going, you'll need to take the faceless background. It's really just too perfect for this character. Not even just the flavor, but the fact that we also get this feature called dual personalities. This really allows us to step into our various personas and even create secret identities for us that people can't even distinguish between. And the text for the dual personalities feature reads as the following. Most of your fellow adventurers in the world know you as your persona. Those who seek to learn more about you, your weaknesses, your origins, your purpose, find themselves stymied by your disguise. Upon donning a disguise and behaving as your persona, you are unidentifiable as your true self. By removing your disguise and revealing your true face, you are no longer identifiable as your persona. This allows you to change appearances between your two personalities as often as you wish, using one to hide the other or serve as convenient camouflage. However, should someone realize the connection between your persona and your true self, your deception might lose its effectiveness. To me, this is basically how Clark Kent and Superman are never associated, even though it's literally just a guy with glasses versus a guy without glasses. Or, a regular platypus and Perry the platypus. You have the innate ability to switch between different disguises and have people not put two and two together, even if it's right in front of their faces sometimes. So now, stepping into races, we have four that I say would be fantastic for this character. Custom Lineage or Variant Human, of course, Reborn, Changeling, and Kenku. Custom Lineage and Variant Human give us access to a lot of the different feats that we'd want to be picking up along our build path, such as the Actor feat, Martial Adept's Commanding Presence, and Skill Expert with Deception or Performance as our expertise skills of choice. And now, Eldritch Adept is an honorable mention here. The reason why is that the Eldritch Adept Mask of Many Faces invocation allows us to cast Disguise Self at will, and having a high DC can make our disguises very hard to see through. Coupling this, for example, with the Actor feat, which gives us advantage on all checks we make to pose as someone else, is a very strong combo. But of course, because Disguise Self is going to be such an important part, we're probably going to be getting different features that will allow us to disguise ourselves without actually really needing to invest a whole feat into Eldritch Adept Mask of Many Faces. And regardless of whatever path we end up choosing, the Actor feat is 100% necessary to make this build strong. And now looking at our other races, we have Kenku, Changeling, and Reborn. The reason why we have these three other races is because they are strong options for disguise and impersonation. Kenku have the ability to perfectly mimic voices and even handwriting, which could allow us to strongly adopt the persona and traits of who we're copying. The fact that, as I mentioned before, Disguise Self is a really good spell, but it only works for appearances and not voice is important here. Being a Kenku, you can perfectly mimic the voices of creatures you're aiming to impersonate. And now Reborn is a solid option because, let's be real, Reborn are basically good at just about anything, because they get a 1d6 that they can just slap on skill checks, and that can go a long way. And now moving into the final race here, we have Changeling. Changeling have the ability to physically change themselves into whoever they want to look like, and even sound like. However, this doesn't affect things like our clothes and different skills, but it does give us the ability to make perfect copies of other people, as well as give us free skills and even alter our voice. Now that we have our races and background out of the way, let's check out the classes that would lend themselves the best for this build. So first up, we have the Assassin Rogue. At 9th level, Assassin Rogues get this ability to really lean into their different personas, and this is the feature called Infiltration Expertise. Here we gain the ability to create a false persona of ourselves by spending some downtime and some gold and creating a new false life for our character. And by this point too, we do get access to a disguise kit. However, thanks to our various race options, we might not need it or might not need to lean in as hard to it. And to really strengthen our personas, we should work on maximizing our dexterity for sneak attack, of course, because we're a rogue, but also our charisma for deception and other relevant checks to keep people at bay if they start to suspect too much. However, this is a low magic option, and as a result of this, it can be a little limiting, and so this is something good because we can actually fix this magical shortcoming really quickly by taking just a few levels in a particular charisma class. And my best pick here is Warlock. Warlock is key here because even for the small price of just 2 levels, we can get Pact Magic, a few utility spells, Eldritch Blast, if you're feeling spicy, and the most important feature from this build, the Mask of Many Faces Invocation, which I previously mentioned. This gives you the ability to cast Disguise Self for free, which will then be amazing with all of our features that we've already accumulated just for this part of the build. We can create new false identities in the blink of an eye, and with Faceless, we can make it so no one can distinguish us from our different personas. And now, for the other class that we'd be looking into for this, we have our Bard, or Whispers Bard to be exact. By going 6 levels of Whispered Bard, you gain the feature Mantle of Whispers. What this allows you to do is when you take down an enemy, you can absorb their shadow and allow you to transform into that person. And this isn't like Disguise Self, this is a perfect copy. This form lasts for an hour until you use a bonus action to dismiss it, and unlike our other forms of altering appearance, this is probably the strongest out of all of them. While this specific transformation doesn't last as long as we would like, what we can do with it in its short duration more than makes up for it. While transformed, we can access all information that the target knew within life and anything they'd tell someone as a casual acquaintance. And this is also a really interesting part of the build that I don't really think any other class steps into. No other class gives us the ability to gather information from the people that we're posing as. And I think a really good way to lean into this would be to take the spell Detect Thoughts, or feeling really spicy, take the Telepathic feat. And even then, you might be thinking, well, after they're slain, I can't get any more information out of them. And that's partially true. And mind you, this is going down a very macabre route, so just bear with me. You can't get any new information out of them, but you have a shot at getting old information out of them. After a target has been slain, you can cast the spell Speak with Dead on the target. In doing so, you can ask the target questions to things that they would have known in life. So combining Disguise Self, or our Shape Change ability, with Detect Thoughts, with Speak with Dead, with Mantle of Shadows, we not only have the ability to impersonate someone, but completely assimilate ourselves into their lives. And as I mentioned before with the Assassin Warlock route, you can also take this into a Bardlock route. Once again, dipping that 2 levels into Warlock gives you the Mask of Many Faces invocation, and the spellcasting synergizes really well with you as a bard. And really, that's all the breakdown that I have for these builds. I hope that you enjoyed them, and maybe you got even some fun combos to try in your next game. And if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe for even more D&D content. And I'll be seeing you soon, but in the meantime, keep smiling, keep scheming, and I'll see you next time.